What's going on, people? Episode 3 is coming at you. I would say smash that like button, but don't. Got a little gorillas for you. If you haven't found out my taste of music yet, well, here it is. This episode, we got our 8th rank and our 7th rank team. 12th was Young Bucks, 11 Nittany Tide, 10 West Coast Spartans. I'll shut this off now. 9 Dip City. And let's jump right in to our 8th rank team. This team's gotten a lot of love for me in the rankings, but hasn't given me a lot back in terms of the standings. We're going Vinny at Midtown Jags. Now, John, this is where I expect comments about the amount of beers that Vinny drinks is unmatchable at the draft. And that goes, that's a talent right there, folks. I mean, from what I understand, people say, like, he reached Vinny levels. When your adjective is your name for drinking, I'm impressed. All right, so, John, I expect some stories or something by the end of this ranking here. But let's look at the team here. This team, man, they're going to break out. It's a matter of time. I really think that this is a team that I thought would break out last year, and it didn't happen. Maybe it was a little bit too early, and it's still, I hate to say, it might be a little bit too early even this year, but it just seems like they're on the cusp of just a huge breakout. They focused more, I think, initially when they entered this league on AA, and they focused more on young talent coming in, which I think was a smart play. It hasn't quite paid off yet, but I really do feel in my head that it will. Now, there are still some questions about these guys, and I think that this will really be proof that the building within can work, though, again, so far it hasn't in the final standings. Let's dig in here. A lot of ARB guys, but only one of them, Matt Olson, being the one that is going to actually touch the cap. I do expect, obviously, him to retain Matt Olson. I don't really expect a team to go out and put a $20, $15 bid out on Matt Olson. He's a good player, and I think that his ARB value at 40% will be pretty low. He's going to retain it either way. So I expect Matt Olson to be making like $3-4, and I think he'll be happy with that because that's a good deal. Just going down the line, honestly, at this point, Herrera is interesting to me because this guy was one of these top bats, heavy power kind of guys. Obviously made sense to call him up last year. He struggled. And then I kind of alluded to this in the AA rankings. Milwaukee goes out and signs Colton Wong. I don't understand. So they rather don't believe Herrera, or they are going to bench Colton Wong. One of these two guys isn't going to play every day. They're rather going to split, or they wasted money on Wong, or they're going to plan on moving him to another spot. The signing made no sense. Again, I blasted the Brewers last time. I'm going to blast them again. The signing made no sense to me. So rather Herrera goes to the bench in lieu of Colton Wong, or Colton Wong, who you just signed, goes to the bench so Herrera can play. I don't get it. I'm hoping that Herrera plays and does well like he is supposed to be doing. A couple interesting outfielders. Marte, we all know Marte. He's going to be fine. Nothing much to say here. Good contract. 2 years, $750. Love the contract. Azuna is an interesting one. There's still debate right now. He's obviously still a free agent. Again, this is 2-5 still. Yeah, I went for 3 in a row. He's still not signed as of today. And they still don't even know if they're going to have a DH in the NL as of today. If they do, then obviously he could go anywhere. He's going to hit wherever he goes. I do think that playing the outfield for him, it seems like when you play the outfield and you're a big masher, you don't hit quite as well as if you're just a DH. That could be just in my head. I know like JD Martinez wanted to play the outfield. He didn't want to just be a DH. So I think that the players want to go out and play out in the field because like they say it keeps them in the game mentally, but it doesn't seem to transition because JD Martinez, if I'm not mistaken, played outfield this last year and he really struggled. Ozuna used to play the outfield and hit well, but then all of a sudden played DH and he was almost the MVP. So I mean, that's a tiny sample size, and I'm sure if somebody actually researched it, they'd find real answers and results. But in my head, Ozuna playing DH is better for his production. However, I don't know what his eligibility will be like next year. He'll probably have to come out of the spot and be a DH only, which we're seeing some pretty good DH onlys now that the NL had a DH. I hope they have the DH in the NL. Does anybody realistically want pitchers to hit? I mean, I remember I had Chen Ming Wong 6 years ago who, I don't know, he broke his foot running the bases, and it wasn't like he was running hard, and then he was out for the season. It's like, do we really care to watch a strikeout every 9 hitters? I mean, yeah, Bumgarner occasionally hits a home run, and it's hilarious, but he hits like 3 a year. Okay, yay. Like, I want some people out there swinging the sticks. I want what's best for baseball, and watching pitchers stand there in the corner while 3 pitches go by isn't what's best for baseball, in my eyes. Anyway, let's get back to it. This trade, man, Luis Robert. Yeah, so I don't remember the entire thing. It was a couple years ago. West Coast traded Robert for Chris Sale. Vinny had Chris Sale. He was very expensive. He was like somewhere in the $30 mark expensive. And I believe Vinny got Matt Chapman and Robert and other cap stuff, to fill that in. And I think that West Coast got Madrigal back, which, I mean, is a good prospect. But Robert, man, he is due for a massive, massive breakout. It looks like he's supposed to be even better than Eloy, which is kind of scary given how good the pedigree was there. So that's something to look out for here. Pitching-wise, like most teams, they just don't have very much pitching. Pitching is going to be something that, I mean, if we scroll around a little bit, I mean, some of these are filled in, but they're guys that aren't really, pitching. They're just there because, I mean, Sean Manaea, come on. So these are guys that, probably aren't your top 5 guys. They're just the doc puts all of your pitching up front. So it looks like there's a lot of pitching on teams, but there's really not that much good pitching. So there's a lot of good free agents, which means Vinny's going to be in that auction a lot trying to get those guys. Yu Darvish going to San Diego is fantastic, though. I mean, the Cubs aren't trying to win, apparently, even though they played in a pretty weak division. And Yu Darvish going to San Diego, Pitchers Park, good offense now. Yeah, they'll play the Dodgers, but who cares? This guy is going to be really good again. And this is a guy who's always been basically an ace, but never really gets credit for it. I feel like he's always been undervalued in our league and in real life, really. And I hope he could prove it. Great contract, 3 years at 11. Usually these contracts don't work out because usually they get hurt or they just come out and I mean, Jeff Samardzija was making $11 every year, and I think I gave him 3 years, and then he was awful. It's just one of those things. But Darvish seems like a very consistent guy who's going to get it done. So I have a lot of hope for Vinny and this squad, especially when you start kind of merging some of these guys down here and bringing them up, and there's a good amount of cap here that won't get hit too hard, maybe $4 or $5 less, so they'll probably be around $55, $56 in cap. He does have some spots to fill, but he definitely has talent throughout this lineup, which I think could elevate him. If he has a good draft, I think he could potentially be a playoff team, and I hope he is, because I'd love to see a team like Midtown really kind of take off and soar. The next team, so I think that's what I got there for Vinny. Let me check the AAA, see if there's anything that really sticks out. Oh, this guy's a cheater. Seth Lugo was awesome, but last year he wasn't, so that was something. Okay, Bo's coming up. He's gonna be just like one of these other guys. I assume Bo's gonna come up. He'll be just like Herrera or Robert. He's super, super talented, and hopefully he can get into that like top 5 category and really push this team. All right, number 7. Really, 7 down is difficult for me to rank because the teams really start to look similar. So if you're ranked 7th here, I'm guessing you probably think you should be higher, especially given the last the push. It's actually going to be Springfield. So let's take a gander at Springfield here. Good cap available, just kind of in that middle tier, that right in the mean, just like a lot of teams. So they got good cap going on. They don't have a bad contract up here. There's not one. Each team usually has one guy or 2 guys, sometimes way more than that, where you're like, man, I wish I could get out of this thing because this contract sucks. This guy's terrible, and I'm paying way too much money. I mean, let's just go up and find somebody that's like that. Another catcher. Ryan loves his catchers, so it might not be that, but every team kind of has a guy where it's like, why am I paying you so much? So it's like, so Springfield doesn't have that up here, at least. They do have Lucchesi and Mats down here, $475 worth of kind of not dead because they're going to pitch, so it's not dead cap. It's kind of like AAA cap, kind of. So it's not dead cap. They're not horrible, and it's better than some of these guys that are making too much that won't be useful at all. So contract wise, he's right there. All these guys have good contracts. Love this Trevor Story contract. I don't really think that Arenado moving is gonna. Obviously it's going to affect Trevor Story, but I feel like Trevor Story is good because Trevor Story is good. Like, he will hit dongs in Coors. That's just what's going to happen. Of course, Arenado, I assume, was hitting after him is a bit of a protection, but I don't think that his production is going to drop that much just because Arenado's gone. I could be wrong on that, but I just don't see it. Schmitty's always good, consistent, obviously. Declining for sure, but at 10-25, come on. Like, decline is fine when you're making 10-25. Who cares? This guy used to make he was up in the 19s and 20s prior, so you cut that in half. This is a fantastic deal. Javi Baez is ARB 2, one of our only ARB 2 guys, him and Schwarber. I don't know how much he'll make, honestly. If I try to do a calculation in my head, if you give him 20, if somebody for some reason gives him a 20, he'd be at like 10. So worst case, which I don't know, I'd probably stick him, honestly, if somebody offered him 20, 2 years at 20 for Javi. So really, realistically, I think this will go up a couple bucks, which doesn't really hurt his cap. Lance Lynn actually had a good year. These guys are both going to ARB 1, 40%. So these guys will ding the cap. So Stevens will probably actually be more in the mid 55-ish range with his cap after all is said and done, because Lynn will get some dough here, but he's not, he did get traded to the White Sox, I believe, and they're going to be good, and they're going to pitch against Detroit, and Cleveland is tanking, or apparently doesn't care about winning. The Twins are kind of pretty good. They just re-signed Cruz, so they're good, but they're not great. Kansas City's awful, so he's going to get a lot of run with some really bad teams. So Stevens coming in at 7 is kind of surprising because everything you see here is good, really. The only reason that he comes in lower than these other teams that I want to mention, but I can't until next video, is because, like I said, the cap is going to go down to the mid-55 range, which actually does bring him below the average a bit. And there are a lot of spots to fill in here. If I look down into Double-A, there's nobody here. Alec Baum maybe could come out. Like Christian, I don't know how to say it. I always call him Christian Pache. That might be is it French? Pache? Somebody correct me. I mean, it seems too early to call either of these guys up because they don't seem like they're ready to start at a fantasy baseball level yet, which means they should probably stay down, which means who's filling these spots? You're going to have to fill these spots in through the auction, right? So coming in with a lot of spots to fill with a little bit less cap than the other teams, kind of like I said with Dip City, that's going to get you down the rankings a little bit. Too much randomness. Love what's there. Great building blocks. Post draft, could easily see this team going up. Could see them going down. It just depends on how the auction goes. There's too many unknowns. But what they have right now is a good foundation, a strong foundation. And I think that they can take that and maybe use this rank as motivation to move up and to make something happen. And with that, I'm already at 16 minutes. So sorry about that. Apparently I'm rambling on. Let me get the tunes going in. Because that's it. That's all I got for this episode. Hope you all enjoy, and we'll see the next one tomorrow. We're getting into the top 6 people. We're getting close. Panoramic view. Look, I'll make it all manageable. Pick and choose, sit and lose. All you different crews, chicks and dudes who you think is really kicking too.